The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. How are you today? Great? Not so great? Great, good. So I'm Smita Mishra, and yes, I come from a long way, that is Delhi in India, and I'm here to present vision boards to you, and I'm very thankful to Nordic Testing Days for selecting me and having me here. Frankly, and I'm really happy to be amongst you all, not only because I'm speaking, but because I like people who want to invest in their own improvement, and people who come to conferences, events, network. I really think they are people who want to improve themselves. So a huge round of applause for you guys. Yes, this is for you, for being great, for trying to learn. So thank you, and I'm happy to be amongst you and learn more. I run Meetup. I run a 1,000 tester Meetup in Delhi, and I like to coach women entrepreneurs. Since I'm an entrepreneur myself, I like to help young women into speaking and getting into speaking, and probably helping them out with their business plans on their entrepreneurship initiatives. I also do a podcast off and on, and I'm associated with quite a few podcasts. And what I've mentioned here is if anyone of you wants to start attending meetups, wants to start speaking, to start podcasting, or be part of one of them, please feel free to reach out to me. I will be able to help you. If I'm not doing it, or if I'm not part of it, I'll be happy to be that window for you to connect to the outer world. Happy to support you all to get on this part of the stage. Okay? And I'm a mother of 2 kids. That's my most important role right now. And professionally, I am the founder of QA Zone Infosystems, which is a testing consulting firm running in Delhi since 2010. And currently, I'm also building a product platform, which is Fandoro. And that's it's actually a platform for enterprises and individuals to connect with nonprofit initiatives, social initiatives, which are working towards meeting the Sustainable Development Goals laid down by the UN. And the product vision board that we are going to talk about today is actually my learning out of this experience. So I've been a tester for most part of my working life, but as I turned into a product manager for my product, I learned about how vision boards could actually help us. So that's the background for Fandoro. Quickly. So like I told you, it's a platform for individuals and enterprises to connect with the needs of social initiatives and contribute towards them and help their own countries and places reach the Sustainable Development Goals. We've been selected by NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. We have been selected at a lot of events in the startup ecosystem, into the business world, and we got a lot of good PR through newspapers and magazines. So we are doing great from the PR perspective on Fandoro, but we were not doing so great on the customer acquisition and the usage, which we improved on, and Vision Board definitely helped us there. So that's the background. And before I actually go there, quickly, how many Estonians are here? How many people from actually Estonia? Yeah? Quite a few, thank you. So you should be very proud of your country, because Estonia is one of the front runners in this, we call it Agenda 2030, which UN has laid. So there are 17 sustainable development goals for the world to be, reach a more sustainable way of growing. And Estonia is one of the front runners in helping most of the countries and actually pushing themselves to reach the SDGs. So kudos to you guys. Now here comes Vision Board. That is what we're going to talk about today. Now, how many of you have actually heard this term before, Vision Board, or used it? Awesome. So it's not a new term, right? Vision Board is not a new term. However, we have not used them in IT per se. We use them for life. And there is a site called Mind Valley Blog. It's a popular lifestyle blog. What it says, the way it defines Vision Board is a very powerful tool to manifest your life's dreams, desires. Yeah, that's what is this. And if you Google out vision boards, how-tos, there will be tons of images, pics, and links to it already there. So those are so vision board is not a new concept. However, we are using it for Fandoro, and if I want to explain you, it will be just a 5 minutes job to just quickly show you our vision board on Fandoro and tell you what it is about. But that won't help you, because if you want to take away as to why I need the vision board and can I really make any use of it, then you need to understand the background of it as to why, what's the use of such a vision board for the IT projects. So let me take you to the background of it. Emotional intelligence. Name some of the products that you like, or some of the products that you really need in your life. Can you think of any of them? Even if you don't name them, just think about, yes, I use this product. It doesn't have to be a software. It could be a cap, a water bottle. It could be anything that you really use in your daily life. What do you like about them? And when you think of these products, what is the image in your mind? So it is important to actually understand what the real, how the people really use these products, what the real needs of the people are. What people think they need are not often right. And to do this, we have to watch them closely how they use a product or a service that they have taken up. Yesterday, I believe Alex, I don't know if she's here, but yesterday she was tweeting about that a feature, there was a bug that they put it as bug, but they realized that users are using it so much as a feature, that they had to put it as a feature, because that's how users use that product. So it's not a bug, but a feature. So it's very important to watch people closely and how they actually use the service and product. There are many factors why someone likes something, some product, and while science places huge emphasis on rational thinking, which is not like completely true. In fact, it's not at all, it's a misplaced view, because there's a lot of emotions involved. There's a lot of emotional intelligence involved that we consciously, subconsciously apply to our decisions. There are two kinds of things that go into our brain when we are taking a decision to like something or not. One is definitely the cognitive thinking, where it's about the view of the world, how we are placed into this world. And then there is the emotional part of us, where it's about us. Now, emotion is also about assigning values. And value is of critical importance to humans. And so, but what is this value? Like, anyone of you want to tell what is value to you, how you define value? It's very often a trade-off. So, for example, the value of a high heel, which is pretty uncomfortable, varies from heavy shoes that you need for welding. Now, there is varying values, and which is, but it is always a trade-off, like what you want and what you don't want. And if we are testers, you will be able to think about it in terms of, when I'm developing a product or when I'm testing a product, how do I trade off between lower cost of development, quick time to market, high quality? What do you choose in between? You choose the business value. And what does that value actually mean? It is what somebody really pushes or probably places importance to at that point in time. That is the value of it. So why we actually buy a product, that why is the final business value of it. Okay? So people buy feelings, not products. How many of you actually agree with it? Quite a few. So people buy dreams, they buy aspirations. It's not about the products. For example, L'Oreal, what do they sell? Of course they sell cosmetics, but they sell a dream. That, I'm going to become some supermodel or someone very pretty by using L'Oreal. Ferraris, BMWs, they are aspirational products. People want to buy them. Yeah, because it plays certain kind of, people are able to associate with those products as an aspirational product. So these aspirations, these needs of aspiration, or these needs for dreams, all of these are put together as needs of certain, there are some basic needs of humans which are not about the wants, but clearly the needs, which are very key to the survival of a human. And I'm not talking about what I would like to have, what I definitely need for survival, whether I realize or I don't. So I'm just going to show you quickly 6 basic needs of human, which actually manifest into the emotions. First of them is certainty. All humans need certainty of pain and pleasure. If I put my hand in fire, it's definitely going to burn. I know that, and I have to be certain about it. If I take this route, I'm going to reach back to my home. It's important for me to know that my home is going to be there at the same place all the time. If I go through the route and I don't see my home, I'm going to not be able to survive in this planet. But then if I knew everything in my life and I'm able to predict everything, that level of certainty is boring. So some level of uncertainty. You need surprises. And the surprises that you do not like, you call them problems. Okay, this is a problem, but those are uncertainties of life that you also need. Then there is a need to be significant. And to be significant, people buy iPhones, like a lot of people buy iPhones to be significant. And even those who say, I do not want to be significant in their own unique way. There is an innate need to be significant. Then there is a need to be connected or be loved. We all want to be loved. We all want to have friends, families together. We want to grow. Growth is very important for humans, and even more important to businesses. So when you think about a business, so these human needs can actually be pulled up and put into the business use, and specifically this one, because success is not a plateau for any business. There is no resting point. You grow or you die. There's a reason why car companies come up with new car versions. The McDonald's comes up with new products. There's a reason that these things come up with new items every time. And then finally, to contribute, to give back to this society. You want to feel connected with this society and want to give back. It's one of the most satisfying happiness. Which one do you think is the most important human need of these 6? Any guesses? Sorry? To be loved. Anyone else? Any guesses? Almost always people do say to be loved. And that is true, but to contribute, yes. Okay. Be significant happens to be the most important need. Why? Because people believe that if I'm significant, people are going to love me. If I have a BMW or a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something, people are going to automatically like me for who I am. So if I'm somebody big, I'm going to be loved. So loved is important, but people believe that if I'm more significant, others are going to like me more. So that is a more innate need. It's so important to people to feel significant that they're willing to pay disproportionately for a product that makes them feel significant. You have examples all over. Again, iPhones, Ferraris, anything. I mean, I need a phone, I could use any phone. If I need a car, I could drive any car. But why these, which are disproportionately so expensive? Because that makes me feel significant. Yeah? Okay, so this brings us to this whole concept of designing for emotions. And I'll have to read a little bit, so please don't mind me looking into the notes a lot. Certain objects make you feel a certain way. It's not just random, it's very intentional. It's emotional design. And every product that you're using today, somebody has designed it sometime, somewhere. Chairs, this desk, this screen. Somebody did think about something when they were designing this. Now, many objects we interact with, you may notice that purely function drives their form. So like they say, form follows functions. But there is more sophisticated psychological aspect of design that goes unnoticed, and how it makes you feel is important. And as a concept, designing for emotions is highly personal. So what she thinks is beautiful or good may differ from me, from what I think could differ from him. And that's totally fine. So we're not talking about that level of emotional thing, but what we're talking about is designing such elements in your product that elicit emotion by the customer when they're actually using that product. So that is what we mean by emotional design here. And these emotional responses could be like love, safety, trust, or it could be like anger, hatred, or fear. So there are very many aspects of design. Function is definitely one. Then there are forms like the wine openers, salt shakers, they come in all forms. Then there are colors. We normally like bright colors for kids. Then there are choice of material. We like light for the running shoes, but we want heavy for the builders, the heavy shoes for the builders. Then we have texture, stuffed toys. We have nostalgia. So like Nokia 3310, Nintendo, all of them, they bring in those emotions out of us when we see such products. Now, all of these culminate into branding. Therefore, people relate to iPhone so much and Ferraris. Now, positive brand association is being highly invested into. People are protecting their designs these days because they know that those designs, those emotions that are coming out of those designs are the gateway for them to engage with their customer. So they are the key focus now for the organizations. And this level of design can be seen in higher priced products, not in their mass produced lower cost competitors. So emotional design can also, it also comes to the forefront when function is not your only differentiator. So if function is not the only differentiator between the products, these designs really help in having an upper edge. So emotional design is often used as a tool for marketing. So, but where do we capture these such designs? Where do we capture the need or the requirements for such designs? For example, banking applications, they need to make us feel more secure. They need to make us feel like we can capture our expenses and make us maybe safe. At the same time, for the educational applications, we want them to be, and it is okay if a banking application is boring. It has to be more secure. There is a different kind of need for that business. For an educational site, we need it to be more maybe aspiring, maybe helping us, inspiring us, but we do not want a lot of entertaining distraction on that site. And as a team, I know most of us discuss this. Some of us would also have user experience teams who would actually be helping us design those stuff. But where do we really capture these discussions? Very often we're not able to translate such discussions into specific requirements. So before we go further on how do we capture these requirements, quickly have a look on these screens. And I just want you to observe. There's nothing you need to do. I just want you to observe some of these login pages. These are different login pages from different apps. Just here, have a look on how different they are. Quickly, there are these profile pages. Some more profile pages. If you could quickly have a look on how the number of elements and the designs and the feel of it changes. Security. So which design do you like most of it? Anyone here? Do you like, let's say this is A, this is B, this is C. How many of you like C? Okay. B? Like B, much better than others? How many of you like A? A lot more? Okay, great. Yes. Because when I see such a screen, especially if you're giving out all the password, like how do I actually hack it? I already know these are the characters that I need to use to hack this screen. This is a very uncomfortable feeling. I do not want to see how you are creating your password. I do not want to see the entire, maybe the coding of it. It makes me feel a little uncomfortable that if somebody wants to hack, they could actually use this to hack. But this one makes me feel really good. It actually tells me how good I'm doing on my password without really telling others what it is that is making it better password. Yeah. So we looked at different profiles, different login pages, different security stuff. We see the differences. Now, what are the differences? There are many. But why are these differences is important. So, of course, there are templates that are different, certainly obvious. The design is different, but there are so many subtle differences in the design. There is a reason for it. That is, who are your customers? What is the goal of the organization for those customers? What do the business want those customers to do with those applications? That is how that's what makes us define or design a particular screen. Now, every business wants to bring out a certain emotion in you. So it can be attached to it and keeps you engaged with it. And it has to be very careful on how it does it, because it has to be consistent with its own vision, still differentiated with their competitor, and still hit you at the place it really wants to hit you. Yeah? So such design requirements are not limited to functional. There are emotions involved. Where do we capture these? And this is the point where Fandoro, my product, we also got stuck was, okay, we have all these ways to actually capture requirements today. We do our requirement specification document as Word document, as Excels. We have user stories. Then we have feedbacks coming in look at your Play Store, you have tons of feedbacks from the customers who are using it. Then you have the complaint calls or the support calls that come to your customer support. You get a lot of feedback from them. You have your open defect list. You already know what you have to work on. You have mind maps. Mind maps, how many of you actually use mind maps here? Awesome. So it is a very scientific and a simple way to capture requirements, all of them in one way at once. So you get a very high level view of the application. And it is very effective in doing that. However, it still misses the emotion part of it. So there are functions specifically mentioned there. The features are mentioned, but how do we develop that is not mentioned. Then there are empathy maps. Anyone here who uses empathy map? So I'll quickly talk about it at the end, but empathy maps are used by agile projects and a lot of non-agile projects also to discover the user stories. Okay. But they are not enough. They were not enough for us. And why they were not enough? Because firstly, they were not capturing the emotions. But more importantly, in an environment which is so volatile and there is absolutely no margin or very thin margin of error, because there's so much time, energy, money that goes into acquiring customers. Anyone of you here who works in startups, they would understand customer acquisition cost. It's like very high, and with such customer acquisition cost, you do not want to take any chances. And therefore, you have to be sure that what you're doing, what you're designing, what you're creating is going to acquire the customer, keep them engaged, and keep them staying with you. And when we came to, and when I say highly volatile environment, that is because of the changing timelines, from changing customer needs, changing teams. Now, every other day there was a new team member there. So these are, and then changing laws. What was okay yesterday with respect to data privacy is not okay today. The terms that we use, the words that we use, the language, how we address someone, the legal language and the slang languages are also changing. So we have to be sure of, so it impacts every design feature button on your screen. So, okay, so, and when we finally understood that, okay, so our requirement documents are not enough, we need these things to be added, we came under a challenge as to how do we add emotions to our functions, to our features. We understood we had to create something like vision board, but where are those list of emotions? I don't know how to, kind of add those emotions to them, and that's where we referred to Torchic wheel of emotions. It is in itself a huge subject, so I cannot tell you more details, but I'll tell you quickly. It comes up, it was the basis for our vision board, and it was developed as an evolutionary theory of design by Robert Plutchik. He was a professor with Albert Einstein College of Medicines and also an adjunct professor with University of South Florida. So he suggested he suggests there are 8 primary bipolar emotions: joy versus sadness, anger versus fear, trust versus disgust, and surprise versus anticipation. So additionally, his circumplex design model that you see here makes connections between the ideas of an emotion circle and a color wheel. So much like the colors, that we get secondary colors by adding primary colors together, similarly, emotions can be expressed at different intensities and can mix with one another to form different emotions. So we've used this extensively. And then, okay. Finally, so this is the vision map. Now, this vision map, vision board is a concept. It's not a particular template. It's not a particular design that you have to follow. A lot of people use it with Kanbans, and you are free to do that. You can make hand-drawn pictures. You can use stickers, anything. So how actually vision board is supposed to work is, when you imagine a situation in life that you really want to make happen, you can click pictures of those, and that matches your feeling of actually achieving those goals. These pics will actually remind you of what you want to achieve, and a collection of such pics actually shows you all your major goals in one quick view mode. So that is what we did, and if you can see, you can have pictures there, you can have stickers there, use it in Kanban mode. This is something we used for Fandoro specifically, because if you look there, so we wanted to make sure that every feature, we are very clear if it is public or private. We did not want people to, so we wanted people to have hope and trust with the application and not disappointment and vigilance. Now the interesting part of your features is when you develop a feature and you don't care about the emotions and you don't want to think about it, what happens is, certainly you are not associating it with a positive emotion, but what it does for you is, almost always the absence of a positive emotion brings out a negative emotion in the user. So if you are not feeling hopeful and trustworthy, if you don't feel like that about the app, you're definitely feeling disappointed and vigilant about the app. Then there was peer motivation, since we are more into putting people together and getting them to donate for these causes. We really wanted a lot of peer motivation. So every feature we developed, we wanted to make sure that it somehow associates with the social media, it goes out to the people, and somehow gives the peers some motivation to actually contribute more. On the transaction front, we had a clear instruction that whatever we do with a new feature, with an existing feature, we cannot add another step towards payment. So we have to make sure that our number of steps from the dashboard to the payment never changes. It only reduces, it never increases. Now all of these are important because every time there is a new developer, and hypothetically, let's imagine a situation. If I were to tell you today that I want a certain application with a certain goals, what it actually means is that when somebody takes those goals to develop, the developer goals have to be aligned to the business goal. Now every line of code that is being written has to make sure that it elicits that emotion that is being given to us by the organization or the marketing team, that this is how the user has to feel. So we wanted to make sure, and that is what we are doing. Security was one aspect, and if you would imagine banking application or a payment wallet, how different now? Let's say there is a number one payment wallet in your country, and then there is a number two payment wallet. How different can they really be in their technology stack or the looks? They will both have very cutting edge work. How can they differentiate? Well, maybe if they want to differentiate on the security, then it will be very important for the application that every message, notification, any kind of touch point you have with the customer, the screens are screaming that we are secure. That's important. So we also wanted security to be our paramount thing, and we wanted our users to admire and accept our level of security and not fear and be apprehensive. Gamification, so when we have profile pages, and so at one time we had just 8 fields to fill in, and it was okay. It was acceptable, but suddenly we needed now 20 fields to fill for our algorithms that would work on that would use some kind of artificial intelligence and give us the recommended social need that a person would like to associate with. And those needed gamification. So we had to change our emotion from acceptable to having fun. And that's what we did here. So we wanted it to be interesting and amusing. All right, so that's what we did here. Hopefully this helps you. And quickly, last time when I presented this, people asked me about how is it different than empathy map. So empathy map is used for designing user stories at a higher level. But so we are able to see what are the pain of the users, what will they gain from out of this application, what do they really say or do about this application, but how do they think and feel about it? So that was more about capturing the user stories at the application level. But what we are talking in the vision board is more about the feature level. So I hope that helps you. And thank you so much. If there are any questions and answers, I'll be happy to take them. Thank you.
So let's see if we have features or bugs here in the questions.
I know I'm between you and your lunch, so I won't hold you here. I am around if you still need to ask some questions after the session. I'm happy to do
Let's
it.
hit them out.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah?
Is lunch served? Is also a question, actually.
All right, in case they have it later on,
Yeah.
please feel free to ask. And these are my contacts, should you need. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So here is also a little thank you from us. So thank you for coming.